Hi, my name's Mary Van Orso. I'm the principal practitioner here at Pilates Just For You. I have been instructing and teaching Pilates for the last 9 years and have been privileged to work with over 400 clients. And these clients can have different concerns, whether it be working around pathologies, knee, shoulder, hip issues, feet or ankle issues. And I believe Pilates is here for everyone, no matter what level or no matter if you have an injury, an illness, something that you can work around. Pilates is really a great method that can actually help keep people moving regardless of the circumstances. The history of Pilates actually came from the 1920s when its founder Joseph Pilates used what skills he had, and during his time during the war learnt to actually help people be able to get themselves fit and healthy even if they were confined to a hospital bed. So he attached springs and he did all sorts of things to help someone still be able to move even if they had some sort of restriction. So I wanted to introduce you to a little bit about Pilates. We do focus on quite a few things, and this is why I love it so much, is because it's going to give you a whole body experience as opposed to when we just go to the gym maybe to build up some strength, or maybe go to yoga just to do flexibility. Well, Pilates is going to give you strength, it's going to give you the flexibility, it's also going to work on the mobility of your joints. We concentrate on things like breathing, your pelvic floor, mobility of your joints, working through those stiff joints that occur either through lack of activity or a lot of activity. So it's a really good, what I feel is a holistic experience that you can't help not feel really, really good after you've done it. Now, I've found that over my history that clients will have some common concerns. Things like that they might not be able to lift their arm over their shoulder. They have some restrictions with some shoulder pathologies. People have stiff and tight necks and can't lift their head up when we do some of our core work. We also have people that might not be able to go onto all fours and not be able to put any pressure through their knees. Or people who can't lie on their side because they might have things like bursitis or some sort of inflammation that prevents them from doing that at the time. So generally I like to adapt my videos to suit different people with different needs. I also offer things like variations and modifications to exercises. So what you'll find is that I do offer pre-recorded classes that may be specific to a subject. I recently did one for those that might suffer vertigo, and how you can still kind of build up your strength even if you're feeling not 100%. There's also videos on if you have disc bulges and how you can work safely through that, because sometimes we don't know whether or not we are working safe. Is it right? Some moves can aggravate conditions, so you've also got to be very mindful of what type of work you do with those conditions. So today's session is really just to introduce you to a little bit about Pilates, understanding the underlying work that we do through movement. So I'm going to teach you how to effectively activate your deep core muscles. Also how to activate the pelvic floor. So the pelvic floor is really important and part of the core system. And as we age, we find sometimes that things change with that. You might have leakage, you might be getting up to the toilet during the night more. There are avenues and ways we can build up that strength and improve your quality of life. So we're going to get started first, probably with some pelvic floor work while we're sitting here. I have with me a towel, and what I do with new clients whenever they come and see me here in the studio is I get them to sit on this rolled up section of the towel. So I'll get them to sit over the top of that towel so that that raised bit is going to give them some feedback. So when we start with the pelvic floor work, it's like you want to stop the wee mid-flow. So if you're going to the toilet and you need to suddenly stop the wee flow, you're going to feel a tightening and what we call drawing inwards and upwards feel of that muscle. But it's when you relax that you kind of get that feedback underneath of something dropping into that towel. So the pelvic floor is kind of shaped like a bowl, but when it does contract and activate, it draws inwards and upwards on itself. When it relaxes, it goes into like a sling and it links in from the pubic bone to your tailbone. So I'm going to teach you a little bit on how to activate the front part of your pelvic floor as well as the rear. So if you can grab yourself a towel and get into this position, we'll make a start. I want you to sit in lovely posture because that's another thing we focus on, and it's a big part of what I focus on is our posture. So we're going to sit nice and tall, our head is up, and we'll focus on breathing out as we think about the muscles we use to stop the wee mid-flow. It's as simple as that. So take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, can you use those muscles? Can you bring them on? And as you breathe in again, you're going to feel the muscles relax. I want you just to let them drop and let go. And it's when you drop and let go that I want you to feel some feedback into that towel. You'll feel it drop into the towel, okay? So we're just going to spend a moment trying to get it activated. Breathing out as you lift that pelvic floor. And then relax. And again. And relax. And it may not keep going, but it may not feel quite strong at the start when you try to do this. But if you keep practicing, hopefully the brain goes, oh, okay, I think I know what you can try to do here, okay? And whilst I wouldn't recommend that you stop the wee mid-flow regularly, test it maybe just once or twice. Just get a feel for like, what is it that I should be feeling to understand what muscles you need. But you can't do that regularly. These days they're worried it causes urinary tract infections. So just give it that once or twice where you think, okay, yeah, this is what I should feel. So as I'm talking, I've been doing my pelvic floor. I hope you have too. I want you now to think about the muscles you use to stop wind. So we're going to get into the rear part of the pelvic floor and your rear passage. So you can take a moment to drop thinking about the front part and think about now the muscles you use to stop wind. And can you feel how that kind of activates a little bit more behind? So remember the pelvic floor taps into that coccyx bone. So you're going to kind of feel it more in that region. So just take a time to practice thinking about the new muscles you use to stop wind. But I don't want you to squeeze your butt either, okay? The glutes, the thighs, everything should just be comfortable and relaxed as you try to engage. So we'll spend another 10 seconds focusing on that. Good, and I can feel it relaxing into that towel. And then I'm going to get you to think about combining both of the moves, so front and back. So you can start with the front, use those muscles to stop the wee, and then get into the back. That's a little trickier. And then relax. And hopefully it's feel a little stronger now that you're using the front and the back of the pelvic floor. And do not hold your breath either. Just keep practicing. We're just trying to get it moving. And generally what I would do after this is just encourage some activities, increase repetitions. So you might do 3 sets of 10 to 15 where we just do what we're doing now. And then you do that 2 to 3 times a day. If you're experiencing issues, if you really want to see some great improvement, so you might do something like that, and then you might encourage for endurance. You might try and hold it for 20 to 40 seconds, something like that, or even longer if you can. And then finally you might just add some pulses, okay? So and you can combine your holds and your pulses. So you could hold for 6 seconds and then just do some short little pulses at the end of that hold and then relax. All I'd say is just remember to relax that pelvic floor fully in between for at least 5 seconds before you then go into the next repetition. So hopefully that's kind of a good start for you to get into your pelvic floor, but if you do have really, if you have big concerns about it, you would definitely go to a pelvic floor physiotherapist. However, practice does make perfect and it will make you stronger. So I'm going to take that towel out, we don't need that anymore. And I'm going to show you a couple of ways that you can identify the deep core muscles. The deep core muscles are the transverse abdominis, and it's like a corset. It kind of comes around and it goes between this space between your ribs and your hips, and it wraps itself back around. The pelvic floor kind of connects with that underneath. So you can kind of imagine you've got this corset, and this is where the core strength involves the pelvic floor as well. So if you prefer to sit up, I'm going to show you an example of what you can do while you're sitting up, but we are going to go to the mat and the floor, okay? So all you really need to do is sit in nice posture for me, and we're going to lift one knee up, and as we lift it up, I want you to press quite firmly the hand and knee into each other, and you should just feel a little activation here deep in the lower abdominal area. Okay, keep that lovely posture as you then try the other side. Good. And then again. Good. And just resist that knee coming up. You could simply just press your hands into your knees here, and you can feel a little deep activation there as well. It's subtle, it's not going to be really, really intense. And for someone who's quite weak, they might not even feel it at all. But I would still encourage that movement and that activation for you as well. So before we get onto the floor, another aspect that Pilates focuses on is what we call a neutral pelvis. So if I was to sit side on here, I might move this towel so you can see. So when we sit, we have our natural curvature in the spine, yeah? Okay? And then it goes up here, and it's kind of designed like that. And the reason it's designed that way is to take load, okay? So we don't want to alter that. We actually want to strengthen your core while you maintain a neutral pelvis. So if you go back to where we press our knees up and down, and just look at the back of my hips, all right? I just want to keep them nice and still. But what tends to happen for a lot of people is they'll tend to move their hip back. So hopefully you can see that. So if I don't use my core properly, you can see how the lower back tilts back and forth with the move. And it's not going to be very effective for building up your core strength. And once your core strength is built up, you're going to have less back pain. It's going to do its job with the back muscles to support your spine. Now it has been researched that when you have a strong core, you tend to not have any injuries in the lower or your upper extremities because it's a good solid support base. When this is out of whack, then a lot of other things go out of whack as well, you know, with the rest of your body. So that's why we do such a large focus on the core strength. So we're going to take it down to the mat now. Okay, so we were going to go and lie onto our backs. If you need to, you can grab a cushion to put under your head if you need that for comfort. If you're quite rounded through the back of your shoulders, I would suggest you also have a cushion there as well. So I'm going to lie down here with my knees bent. And what I'm going to demonstrate now, you're going to feel that core activation a little bit stronger now with what we're going to do. And I'll get you just to bring one leg up, just over the hip like that, and then the other knee. Now, if you find that a little painful, just bring your knees a little forward, okay, to take the pressure off your back. Okay, if you kind of feel quite fit and strong or not too bad, stay up here. And I'm going to get you to place each hand in front of your knee now. And we're going to press the knees and the hands into each other. And here you're going to feel again a strong connection to the lower abdominal muscles and your core muscles here. You'll also notice that you'll feel a little bit of your back muscles activated as well. Okay, so we press and hold into there, And to rest in between, I'm going to get you to just hug your knees in. You can give your back a little bit of a stretch. Just avoid this stretch though if you have a severe disc bulge. Okay, and we're going to repeat that again. So we'll bring our legs back up if you can, and if you can't do both, just do a single. Okay, so you can keep one leg up there and you might alternate as well. Okay, all right, so I'm going to come back into what we call our tabletop position. Good. And you're going to press your hands and knees into each other and see if you can hold it for a few seconds, 5 to 10 seconds. Okay, and breathe, do not hold your breath. Good. And then I'll get you to hug your knees again. Okay, so that's kind of waking up the brain, getting it to feel. We're going to do it one more time. I really want you to think about what's happening here. And let's go, take a breath in, and as you breathe out, push your hands in. Hold there for me in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Have a short little rest. Okay, so how do we actually train for this neutral pelvis? Okay, if you're flexible enough, place one hand under your lower back or the back of your hip, and it doesn't have to be right under. And then I'm going to get you to place the other hand onto the top of your belly here. I want you to think about activating that TA yourself. And don't worry, day one that might not happen for you, but I just want you to understand the concept of keeping your hips still. All right, so we're going to bring one foot up like we did before. And when you bring that foot up, you don't want to feel the pressure on your hand change. And the way you do that, we'll do it again, is to activate your core to support the back and support your pelvis. So let's take one leg up without putting any pressure into the back of our hand. And when we lower the foot down, I want you to maintain a nice still hip. Do not let that lower back arch as you now lower and rest that leg. Take a breath in now and breathe out as you activate the core and bring one leg up. And breathe out again as you lower it back down. We're just going to practice a couple of these, and I want you to imagine you have a really rare butterfly under your lower back, the arch in your back. Now you want to keep it there, but you don't want to squash it either. Okay? So we're maintaining that lower curve in our lumbar spine as we go up and down. And I'm not going fast because I'm going to take my time to think about the activation of that TA muscle as I move up and down. We'll do 3 more, and think about now that the tummy is flat. Don't let it push into your hand. You should feel a flattening effect if we get this right. 2 more. And last one. Wonderful. Okay, so from here we're going to use our full core muscles, not just down here, but also up here under our ribs. Now, if I don't use my upper abdominals here, as I take my arms over the head, my rib cage is going to lift up to the ceiling. So I'm hoping you can see that's popping up to the ceiling. And then as I bring my arms down, it's going to then lower itself back down into its normal position. Now this can be a bit tricky, it may take some practice and time, but I want you to think about closing the gap between your ribs and pressing down a little in resistance as we take our arms up. So my ribs will want to be popped up, but I actually want to keep them down, all right? So we want to keep our body nice and still here. All right, so we're going to bring our arms up to the ceiling now. Take a breath in, and as you breathe out, knit those ribs together. Keep those ribs down from moving. Now you might just get here, and then as you start to take it further, they lift. So stop here, build up the strength here. Let's work it here, and then bring it back up. Let's try it again. Big breath in, breathe out, and breathe in as you come back in. And back. Now you could do just one arm if you do have problems with the shoulders. You could just try one arm, okay? Back and forth. And we'll do 2 more. You want to feel the pressure on the back of your ribs staying the same, almost like you're pushing into the mat with the back of your ribs there, okay? Good. Okay, so that's us working the top part of the tummy, and now we're going to add a little bit of the lower tummy here. We're going to bring our legs up one at a time. Again, okay, keep that hip as still as you can. And you're going to bring your arms up, and you can feel that lower tummy working. And can we do a few more where we take either a single or a double arm behind as we go up and down. Breathe out as you go into it. Breathe in as you come back in. One more for me. Imagine you've got a bowling ball on those ribs. Do not let them lift up. Good. And relax your feet down. Well done. So when we work the tummy, we also work the lower back as well. So I'm going to show you a move just to loosen up that lower back. Take your hands out to the sides on a 45-degree angle. Pull your shoulders away from your ears back into the mat. Knees together. I want you to take your knees to the right as you turn your head to the left. Notice I'm taking the top foot along, but you don't have to if you're very, very tight. It can stay on the floor. Hold here and feel like you're lengthening out through the top of the hip here, then top thigh away from the body. Breathe. And if you feel a tight spot, try to relax on the breath out in that area. Then bring it back to the center and we'll take it to the other side. Big breath in. Breathe out as you take it to the other side. Hold here. And if you feel like one side is a little bit more tighter and needs a little bit more, you probably won't linger as longer on the less tightest side. Stay for longer on the side that actually needs it. Okay, so we're going to get into loosening up the whole back, not just the lower back. And I want you to practice your pelvic floor work here for me. All right, so can you get the pelvic floor muscles on for me first? And you'll feel even a gentle little bit of core activation when you do that. That's normal. Can you push your lower back into the mat? So the back of the hips press into the mat. And I'm going to get you just to lift your bum up a little bit and then relax it back down. I'm just going to take my arm away from here so you can see this a bit. So you'll notice the back of my hips is going to tilt back and then relax. So we're just loosening up the lower back. And as you come back in, feel like you push your pubic bone down towards the mat so it creates an arch in the back. How's that pelvic floor going? Okay, try and keep that pelvic floor on and off. So pulling it on now and relaxing it as you go into your tilt. Okay, good. So we're then going to progress and work our way up the spine. So you'll notice with the next one, now your hands are going to be down here. I'm just going to move my hand out of the way so you can see. So we're going to tilt the hips back and start to lift the hips off the mat. And then we're going to lower back down and reset. And I want you to think about pushing through that curve in our lower back, not only as you go up, but also as you go down. Scoop in the abdominals and control it as you come down. So we want to start to use the abs a little more for control. Now if you notice you're shaking a bit, that's okay at the start. It's when you start to build control and strength that you'll find it's a lot more stable, and this is why we do it. Okay, so we're now going to take those hips a little higher now. Can we lift up a little more? and roll down through the back of your ribs, your middle back and the lumbar. Again, I'm going to move my hands so you can see. So we're going to roll up, coming up to about here and rolling through the spine, one vertebra at a time, scooping the tummy. Now this is a really good thing to do before you go to bed and when you wake up. And we're going to take it a little higher now. All right, so what we call a full pelvic roll up. We're going to come up to about here. Now don't go up so high that you end up arching your back here. We don't want it that high. We want to comfortably hip, knee and shoulder in a straight line here. This top's not very good to show you that, but just nice and straight at the top here. And we're going to breathe out now as we roll back down, one vertebra at a time. Good. And again, rolling up. Use the tummy to control. And feel your glutes now start to kind of kick in at the top here. And breathe out as you roll down, one vertebra at a time. Now I want you to imagine you've got a small ball between your knees. Keep that ball between your knees as you roll up. What tends to happen is people's knees want to widen out. But I want you to work your inner thighs now and keep them in, keep them nice and straight. Okay? And again, rolling up. Breathe out as you roll down. Should feel quite lovely. Breathe in to prepare. Last one, breathe out as you lift up. Hold at the top, feel the glutes. Breathe in now and breathe out as you roll back down. Nice work. Okay, so we're going to take you into a little bit more tummy work, and I'm going to get you to take one leg out straight and we're going to bend the other knee up. Again, feel the back of your shoulders into the mat and have your hands by your side gently pressing in. Keep your hips now as still as you can while we circle this knee across the body, away from the body and back. So think of that TA muscle again, engaging, keep it stable as you take your knee across, out to the side and back. Now you could even feel and put your hands underneath your hips here, and you want to minimize the shifting of the weight as you go into your circle. So take a moment to focus on just activating the lower tummy muscles and keeping your hips as still as you can. Alright, we're going to go one more and then we're going to change direction if you can. Have a rest if you need to in between. And breathe out now as we go away from the hips in towards the center of the body and back. If you feel you can't maintain your hips, make your circle little, make it smaller. The size of a 20-cent piece is fine, okay? Just work with what you think you can do and just try to keep your hips as still as you can. One more. Nice work. Now if you're fairly strong, you could do that with a leg up straight. So I'll demonstrate that on the next leg, but feel free to stay with the bent knee. So, all right, I'm going to bring this leg up straight. And I want you to visualize the spirit level on your hip. You want to keep your spirit level nice and level and that bubble centered. All right, I'm going to breathe in now and breathe out as I go into the move. Breathing in now and breathe out. One more, and then we change direction. Away from the body now, and back in. and rest. Well done if you got through all of that, and I hope you are feeling that tummy, but also understanding how it adds to the stability of our hips. A lot of people go walking or they run, and if your hips are too loose, your knees are going to be too loose, the ankles will be too loose, you're going to hurt yourself. So we've got to build up the strength around this pelvic region, okay? So it's leading me now onto your glutes. Now some people have really tight glutes, so a couple ways you can stretch them. The first way, if you're not very flexible, is just to pull a knee in towards your chest. For some people, you're going to feel that stretch straight away there, and you can pull it a little on the diagonal as well towards the center of your body. And you could also stir the pot, okay? You could circle to get into any of these tight spots. The next level from that is to then bring one leg across the other bent knee. Now for some people that's enough, and they might just hold it there. Otherwise, you're going to reach between the space in the middle here and the other side of your thigh and pull it in. So it just depends on your flexibility. And breathe it out as you pull through that stretch. And if you are really, really tight in some spots, you'd want to kind of have your stretch, hold your stretch 50 seconds to a minute as a minimum. Okay, so if you suffer neck stiffness and tightness and it's debilitating, you know, don't be too short with your stretches, make them count. All right, we're going to come out of that one slowly and we're going to swap sides. Choose what you would like. I'm going to go straight into this one. And as I breathe in and out, I'm just trying to give it a little bit more pull. And to increase the intensity, whatever leg you're holding on to, shift your body weight into that same hip, okay? So if I'm holding my left leg, so I'm putting a little bit more weight into the back of my left hip here, and that's going to give me a little bit more stretch. Keep breathing. Relax the shoulders, make sure they're not tense. And we'll slowly come out of that. So, the great way to build up glute strength. So the very easiest way is just to lie here and squeeze your glute muscles. So just squeeze your bottom and then relax. And squeeze again. And relax. And this is something you can do when you're sitting. If you do sit a lot, every now and again, just fire at those muscles. Don't let them get weak and tight. Next level, we're going to take it into a bridge, okay? Which is similar to what we did before, but we're not rolling up and down the spine. We're simply going to lift our hips up. Remember the ball between your knees. Keep those inner thighs on. And scoop in the tummy a little bit. So activate that TA pelvic floor and lift your hips straight up, okay? Remember that nice straight line, okay? Not overarched, okay? Good, hold that for me. Squeeze the glutes gently. I don't want you squeezing really, really hard. Just 80% effort, fire them up. And then we're gonna come straight down. So it's as simple as that. And lifting up, pelvic floor on as well. Glutes connecting. Good. And come back down. Now if you have a cushion under your head, you don't want it to be too high on this one because you're going to put a little bit more pressure through your neck. So you would probably do your sitting butt squeezes, or there are alternatives that if you want to make contact with me, I can definitely help you with for sure. All right, so we're going to aim for about 10 reps here. Can we do 10? Squeeze those glutes on. And back down. And ways you would progress on this is to hold for longer, okay? And then you can do single legs, you can add leg movements to it. There's all sorts of things you can do. This is what I love about Pilates, is that some people might find this too easy and you have to modify, you have to vary to suit individual people's strengths. or injuries or things that they have to work around. So if you couldn't do a bridge like this, I'd show you how you could activate your glutes while you sit. You know, you can work with bands to really add some good resistance, even when you're sitting or standing. Many variations. Good. I think I've lost track of how many. Why don't we go 2 more? Lifting up, squeeze those glutes. And do not hold your breath. Breathe out as you lift up. Keep breathing at the top. And breathe out as you come back down. All right, fantastic. That's really good work. So we can come up and sit, and you're welcome to sit on a chair with what we do next. But I just want to get a little bit into the upper body. Okay, so a lot of us carry stress, or we walk with poor posture, rounded shoulders. So what I'm about to give you is a nice way to open things up for you and get them back where they need to be. So first off, if you can't take your arms over your head, all you're going to do is have your arms out to the side or out straight. Okay? If they're out to the side, I want your head up, planted nicely between your shoulders, and then I'm just going to get you to press back and look up. Okay, just gently looking up. Alright, I want you to feel an openness through the front of the chest, a little pinch of the shoulder blades behind, and a little stretch through the front of your neck if you look up high enough, and then relax. Okay, so if you can't take your arms overhead, stick with that version. If you can take your hands to the sides here, at the back of the head here, you're going to press your elbows back and look up. Okay, so then I want you to kind of bring your elbows forward so that you kind of create this roundness through the upper back. So we're looking up to start with, but as we bring our elbows together, you can see a roundness of the back. Now, the reason I do that is to give you mobility through your upper back, okay? Because we're kind of working in both directions of what the spine does here, okay? It extends back, which means it reaches back, and then it flexes forward. So it's designed to move in those directions, and just get it nice and open and mobile, okay? Good, last one. Good. Now again, you could do this on your chair, or you could do this here on the mat, where we go into a little bit of a side stretch. So sitting to the side here, I'm holding onto my top shin. You could also do this standing, and you're going to bring one arm up to the ceiling, and you're going to reach up to the ceiling still as you take it over, opening up the space between your hips and your ribs. And this is a space that quite often gets tight and not feeling great if you do sit a lot. We'll tend to favour one side and scrunch it up. So we need to open it all up here. Excellent. And then we're going to swap sides. If you were standing, you would just obviously just let the other hand hang down. All right. But either way, you're still reaching up to the ceiling and you're opening up that space. And just breathe. So again, if this is an area you go, oh gosh, I feel really stiff through there, then you want to stay on there for longer. Okay? Good. And then slowly ease out of that. So again, whether or not you're sitting or you're standing or you're like me on the mat, we're all going to do the same thing. And we're going to come back to our elbows bent out to the side like a W. Lift that head up, pull the chin back, get those the ears over the shoulders, yeah? All right, okay, so I'm not going to use my arms to press back. I'm actually going to use the muscles between my shoulder blades to kind of pinch and pull my shoulder blades in towards each other. So head up, good posture. All right, can you use your shoulder blades to start to pull and squeeze behind me to pull the arms back? Then you can add a little arm so you can help it along here. Keeping that head up, I actually want you to hold that for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then relax, okay? So we want to pinch in between here, okay? So from behind, my head is up tall, and I'm going to squeeze my shoulder blades to start to move my arms, and then I'm going to help it along, and I'm going to hold for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Have a 5-second rest. Okay. And maintain, kind of, don't really like arch back with this one. Just keep nice and tall here. All right. There shouldn't be a lot of arching as I squeeze. My spine should stay the same. I'm just trying to squeeze my shoulder blades together. Keep holding in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. We've got 2 more. And these muscles get really weak if we sit a lot. If you're on devices a lot, let's go. Squeeze and press back. So today I've tried to include at a minimum what are the areas that are a good place to start with and that we really need to improve on, relax in modern society. Okay. And last one, squeeze through the back. Keep holding in 3, 2, 1. Excellent. Okay, whether you're sitting, you're standing, or you're like me, we're going to do some shoulder rolls. So with your shoulder rolls, I just want you to bring your shoulders up to the ears, behind, drop them down and back. Think through the circle. Don't just do circles like this, yeah? Let's just slow it down. So up to the ears, back, down and in. All right, so roll the shoulders forward, widen out as you come down and back. The scapula works in about, I think it's 8 directions. So there's a lot of work that it does. Okay, now reverse. Draw those shoulders back and then lift them up, roll them forward and back down. And again. And a lot of our neck muscles go into these areas. And up, round and back. Lucky last one. Up, round, forward, pull them back down and back up. I'm now going to show you how you can reduce some stiffness and tightness through your neck. Again, you can do this standing or seated, okay? I'm going to just turn a little behind so that you can see what's happening here. And you have 2 options. So you could do a straight arm where we pull the shoulder down, okay? So you could do this one. Now if you can't, if you have some flexibility in your shoulder, you could also bend your arm here, okay, and grab your wrist here. If you're doing this one, in both we're going to take the opposite ear to the shoulder and get into a stretch. And as I pull my neck to the side, I'm also pulling my arm to the same side. Now if you've got a straight arm, you'll just be pulling downwards as you hold that stretch. Again, this is an area that's quite common that I see through a lot of clients because of increased working hours, stress, and we don't often move our neck side to side and around, so it kind of gets stuck in that position. Breathe it out. And then I want you to slowly ease out of this one, and then we'll change sides. So I'm going to start with the straight arm. I'm going to draw that shoulder down and take the other side to the ear, to the shoulder. Good. Or like I said, you can grab that wrist and pull the arm in the same direction as the head. And breathe it out. Relax through that tightness. And then slowly bring yourself back to the center. I'm going to stay with my back to you. I want you to be able to see this. So there's 2 ways you can do this. You can bring your fingers to lace back and pull back, or you can grab your elbows. Okay? So from here, take your ear to the shoulder, Circle down towards your chest, back to the other shoulder and around, and then reverse. Back, so circles, sweep that chin over your chest. So I'm going to go to this one now. So down, around and back. I'm just going to face you so you can see what this looks like. Okay, good. Side, down, around. Oh, it's a bit crunchy. Good. And if you got dizzy with something like that, that wouldn't be something that I would encourage either. So that's just a little introduction to Pilates and what I do here at Pilates Just For You. At this stage we are in lockdown, and this is a great way for you to still be moving. It's a new way, but it's a great way to definitely get yourself some expert advice. I do run live online classes twice a week. Now these run on Tuesdays at 5:45 p.m. and Saturday mornings at 10:05 a.m. I do know all the clients that attend these, and I do understand limitations that some of these clients have. So generally I will always offer some variations or modifications about what it is that I know. So if this is something that you're interested in joining us live, or if you would like just some access to some pre-recorded classes, you know, there's topics that we can definitely send to you, like Introduction to Pilates, just working on the glutes, you know, short little videos that work on a specific area. So if you wanted to reach out to me, my details will be here at the end of the video. Otherwise you can look up pilatesjustforyou.com.au, and all my details are there. You're more than welcome to take advantage of a free 15-minute consult with me. But I would love to have you join me live. But if not live, I can definitely help you with some work in between. Or if it is after lockdown, my studio is located here in Vermont, Victoria. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please let me know of any questions or any information that you might be interested in. So I feel great after that. I hope you do too. Thanks for coming.